Immigrants are Hispanics,
and black,
Asians, and people of African descent. It has become a crisis. One of the arguments advanced is that immigrants are taking away jobs from
the American that don't want
US-born workers.
They don't want to work.
But how can that be?
Because them don't want it.
The unemployment rate in the United States, the latest figure released, 3.9%. The last time your unemployment rate was lower than 3.9% was in 1969, almost 50 years ago. So how can it be? You have the lowest unemployment rate in almost 50 years. So how can you be saying that immigrants are taking away jobs? Immigrant workers, immigrants make up 17% of the US workforce. Send them home and watch the US economy collapse.
Thank you.
Now, all of these things must be of concern to you, but I want to suggest to you that you have to be more than concerned. You have to be proactive. The overwhelming majority of Jamaicans are good, hardworking, law-abiding citizens.
That's right.
You pay your taxes.
Yep.
You contribute to the American society. You contribute to the American economy. I looked at some numbers, some data that was published by two reputable research entities, the Migration Policy Institute and the Pew Research Center. And what they indicated that Jamaican immigrants here have a higher level of employment than most other immigration nationalities. Thousands of Jamaican immigrants here own and operate their own businesses. The median income for Jamaican immigrants is $51,000 a year, which compares favorably with immigrants from most other countries. More than a half of the Jamaican immigrant families in America own their own homes. More than 60% of them have purchased private health insurance.
That's right. Ambition over height.
So you cannot be accused of being a burden on the United States.
Ambition over height.
You cannot be accused of loafing around, looking for handouts.
Nope.
I've never heard of a Jamaican panhandling on the streets of New York. Never heard of it.
Nope.
Remember, I don't live here, so I can't say that. I can't swear. But I've never heard of it.
Nope.
You're not people who depending on government to look after you.
Nope.
You were ready to seize the opportunity to look after yourself.
Of course.
Many of you, and I don't want to embarrass anybody, but there are many Jamaicans who come here and they work jobs for which they are overqualified.
Yep.
Overqualified. Many of them work 2-3 jobs, work long hours.
Yep.
They work hard to look after their families here and to look after many of us back home. So I get upset and offended when I watch the US cable networks and I hear some of yesterday some immigrants were being referred to as animals. I get offended. I can't speak for the other nations because I don't know enough. But I can speak for the Jamaicans who left home and came here. They are not the wretched refuse of any teeming shore that the Statue of Liberty speaks about. They are an asset to the United States and an asset to the country of their But the ground on which they have stood, the ground on which you are standing, is beginning to shake.
Mm-hmm.
The proposed changes to immigration in America would radically restrict the access that you benefited from. Most of you came here, got your green card, which is your passport to citizenship, and you got that because somebody filed for you. Most of you. It may have been a mother or a father, or a brother, or a sister, or a son, or a daughter. That is what is being referred to nowadays as chain migration that many of the American politicians want to get rid of.
Yes.
Really?
But chain migration, the family reunification, is something that is deeply rooted in traditional American values. It was good enough for the European immigrants, but it's not so deeply rooted in American values for those who are immigrating today. And the joke of the matter is, that the immigration to America is limited by quota. Each year, every embassy in every part of the world is told, these are how many green cards you can issue under this category and under that category. So it's limited by quota.
That's true.
To make sure that America does not become overwhelmed, and to make sure that immigration is managed in such a way that the people who do come here, who get their green cards, can be smoothly absorbed into the American society. But the new proposal that the President sent to Congress in January would now limit family sponsorship to spouses and minor children. So you'll no longer be able to file for a child if that child is over 21. You'll no longer be able to file for a parent. You'll no longer be able to file for a brother or a sister. Each year in Jamaica, about 15,000 family-sponsored green cards are issued. A half of those 15,000 people would not qualify under these new proposals. I want to suggest to you, don't wait for the hammer to drop. And don't depend on the Jamaican government to make diplomatic representation, because it may not work. If the government does that, and I have no doubt that they'll be willing to do that, but if the government does that, America could easily say to them, immigration policy is a domestic matter. And they would be correct. We had a problem recently where the British government was determined to send home thousands of not just Jamaicans, but thousands of Caribbean people who have lived there, some of them all their life, some of them since the 1950s, on the basis that they had no papers, they had no identification, they were there illegally and therefore they must go home. Some of them were invited to come there to help rebuild Britain after the war. We managed to get the British government to abort that plan, and in fact to give them a guaranteed pathway to citizenship. But we would not have succeeded were it not for the fierce battle that was fought in Parliament by two MPs, David Lanny and Dan Abbott, two MPs with Caribbean roots. David from Ghana, Diana from Jamaica. And the fact that they were able to mobilize the support of over 200 other members of Parliament. So, I have a serious call to make up. The statistics show again that 2/3 of the Jamaicans who have migrated to America have become American citizens. So they can't be deported, thank God. But apart from that, by virtue of being American citizens, they're entitled to vote.
Yes.
How many of them do vote?
Me, I vote.
I don't know. I ask the question sincerely, because I don't know. What I do know is that the voter turnout in New York is among the lowest of all 50 states, and has consistently been so. And the turnout in New York City is even lower than in the state. Now, I don't know if in that arithmetic, I don't know where the Jamaicans who have become American citizens and who live here fall. But my call to you is, if this is not already the case, you must register. And when you register, you must vote. I want to suggest to you that you must do more than vote too. Follow the example of the Cubans in Florida. The Cubans in Florida have organized themselves so well politically. They register, and when they register, they vote, and they make sure that every politician knows and understands how well registered they are and how determined they are to vote. So that no president, no senator, no congressman, or anybody who is seeking any of those offices dare ignore the Cubans in Florida. They are so organized. Now, albeit there are more Cuban Americans here than there are Jamaican Americans, but there are enough of us here that we can organize ourselves too, and we can make a difference. So my call to you is, get busy, get involved, make your presence felt, make yourselves matter, call your representatives, write your senators, register and let them know that you're registered, and let them know that you're determined to vote. And when there are town hall meetings, when there are political forums, go there, express your concern in strong but not necessarily colorful Jamaican language. Let them know what your concerns are. There are many Jamaicans. The numbers again bounce all over the place. But I've heard estimates of between 60,000 and 100,000 undocumented Jamaicans in the United States. Most of them have been here for more than 10 years. Most of them work hard. They do jobs that most Americans are not prepared to do. But they do it because they have to do it. They pay their taxes. They are now in danger of being rounded up and sent back home. Get your representatives to make a case for them. Remind your representatives that you're registered. You know how to vote. And you're watching to see how you should vote based on how well your representatives demonstrate their own appreciation of your concern. And you know, it's not an unreasonable request to make. By and large, when I look at the record, the Democratic representatives for New York State are supportive. And I found it quite interesting that there are at least 2 Republican representatives for New York State that seem to be willing to accommodate some proper provisions for dealing with undocumented immigrants that are here. And in doing that, I want to suggest to you, and I found this so interesting, you can rely on the words of 3 past presidents, interestingly, 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat. President Reagan in a statement from the White House on the 31st of July 1981 said, and I'm quoting him, "Illegal immigrants in considerable numbers have become productive members of our society and are a basic part of our workforce. Those who have established equities in the United States should be recognized and accorded legal status." End of quote. President George W. Bush, speaking in Arizona on the 9th of April 2007, declared, quoting again, "Illegal immigrants who have roots in our country and want to stay should have to pay a meaningful penalty for breaking the law and pay their taxes and learn the English language and show that they have worked in a job for a number of years. People who meet a reasonable number of conditions should be able to apply for citizenship, but approval would not be automatic, and they would have to wait in line behind those who played by the rules and followed the law." End of quote. President Obama, during the presidential debate with Mitt Romney on the 16th of October 2012 said, quote, "If we're going to go after folks who are here illegally, we should do it smartly and go after folks who are criminals, not after students, not after folks who are here just because they're trying to figure out how to feed their families." I'm suggesting to you, don't just sit at home and watch your television to find out what is the latest tweet to do with immigration. You operate in a government framework where your representatives can make a difference. Found it interesting today, again, watching the television, I saw where something like 20 Republican congressmen have indicated that they are going to vote. They are going to vote for, support the call for a vote on DACA to deal with those youngsters, even though the Speaker, Paul Ryan, has urged them not to. So your representatives can make a difference. There are 9,000 Jamaicans, roughly, who are eligible for DACA. Up to the end of 2016, 4,155 of them applied. Of that number, 3,298 were approved. The rest, perhaps because of their own negligence, were left out. Some of the approvals that were given have expired. Even though the president was opposed to it, 2 courts, I think one here in New York and one in California, have ruled that those that had got approvals and which approvals have expired must be allowed to apply for renewal. I urge you to urge those whose approvals might have expired to apply for the renewal. And if the system is opened up, as I'm told that it might be, to accommodate more people, urge them to take advantage of it. Just 2 more things I want to say to you. There are some challenges that we face back home for which we need your help. More specifically, we need you to organize yourself in such a way that we can get the help of your representatives. What are those? In 1983, President Reagan introduced something called the Caribbean Basin Initiative. It's a program that allowed Jamaica to export a wide range of goods to the United States, and they come in either duty-free or with very low tariffs. But because the rules were changed when the World Trade Organization, the WTO, was set up in 1995, the provisions of the CEI have to get a special waiver from the WTO every 5 years. The last waiver we got was in 2014. That waiver expires at the end of December next year. The reason why I raise it is because President Trump sent to Congress, which he's required to do at the beginning of each year, the United States trade policy. And both last year and this year, when I read the trade policy, I get very worried about the CBI, because trade policy speaks about every trade agreement must be based on reciprocity. And trade agreements must first and foremost protect American jobs and benefit the American economy. And what worries me when I read it is that it is not clear that when the current CBI waiver expires at the end of next year, it's not clear that America is going to be prepared to apply for an extension. And it is America that has to apply. Countries like Jamaica are the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries can't apply. It is the company that grants the benefit that has to apply. And therefore, we need you to talk to your representatives. Say to them that this is going to hurt your families back home, it's going to hurt your country, it is going to deprive Jamaica of the prospects for economic growth. It is going to cause job losses, because some of the goods we are now exporting to America would find it hard to compete, especially with goods coming from Central American countries that come in duty-free because they have a free trade agreement with America. So talk to Yvette Clark. There's another congressman you have in New York I want you to talk with as well, Elliot Engel, because he has always been supportive of Caribbean interests. As a matter of fact, he was the chief sponsor of the Caribbean, what was it called? Caribbean Strategic Engagement Act, which was passed by Congress and was one of the last pieces of legislation signed into law by President Obama before he left office. So talk with your representatives. The other issue that I want to put on your to-do list now affects Western Union and GK Money Services. Perhaps not directly, but in a way. Jamaica is being hurt by a thing they call correspondent banking de-risking. Our financial transactions with the rest of the world have to pass through major international banks